Hello and welcome back to the Southwestern Vehicle Auctions YouTube channel. You're joined by me, Owen, and today we're going to be bringing you 6 picks from our upcoming Spring Classic Car Auction on the 28th of April 2023, starting at 10 o'clock. Today we'll be looking at 6 cars that I've picked out for you from all different backgrounds, all different shapes and sizes. So let's get into it. So the first car we'll be looking at today is the 2007 Renault Sport Clio 197, which is lot 39 in our Classic Car Auction at the end of April. And these Renault Sports have soared in popularity since the folding of Renault Sport really as a company, since they stopped making all sporty cars under the Renault Sport name and went with a standalone manufacturer in Alpine, which obviously now the branded Formula One team as well, which replaced the Renault Formula One team that went on for so many years. Yeah, the popularity of these is soaring. The value of these is soaring. You think of the Meganes, the Clios, of all marks and ages and eras, all engine sizes and brake horsepower outputs, they're all rising. They're either holding their value or rising in value. And these Mark IIIs, and also I would say the Mark IIs as well, are a brilliant investment and some of the most popular Renault Sports there are on the market. These are 2-litre, 197 brake horsepower Mark IIIs. They're pretty much internally the same and have the same fundamentals as the 172s and 182s in the Mark II, same 2-litre lump in there, but they were just slightly upgraded. Renault used their knowledge from Formula One to put towards the Mark III, including use of a rear diffuser, brake cooling, side vents, and so on. The Mark IIIs also include a new, at the time, 6-speed gearbox, which had shorter gearing to help the acceleration of the car. Like I say, these Clios are becoming increasingly rare. I think this is a fantastic opportunity to own an appreciating classic and something that could be a daily driver and will be fun to drive right now. This one's covered only just nearly 60,000 miles from new, with good history as well. We estimate it at £2,500 to £3,500, and I think for that money, it's worth putting away or driving and waiting for it to appreciate. Next up here in the video, we've got lot number 35, the 1995 Rover Mini Sidewalk, and this is a lovely example of a 90s Rover Mini. This car is one owned from new, and the vendor obtained this car directly from the factory all the way back in 1995. The car has covered just 67,000 miles from new in the 28 years that the vendor has owned this car, so quite an astonishing record for such a long ownership, nearly 30 years worth. The Sidewalk is actually a rare submodel of the Rover Mini. Only 1,000 of them were ever produced, and as of late 2022, which is just one of 189 left on the road in the UK. The Sidewalk was produced in 3 different colours: Kingfisher Blue, Charcoal Grey and White Diamond. This Sidewalk you see here is the one finished in Kingfisher Blue, and you'll see from the video right now that it's got a rather quirky interior, which is blue tartan, as named by Rover themselves. The vendor and his wife are selling due to eyesight problems, age and the need for more garage space to actually cater for his hobby, which is actually karate, which he does in his garage. It's an excellent opportunity to pick up a rare 90s Rover Mini. We estimate this at £5,000 to £6,000, and I think for that money you can't really go wrong. And as you can see right next to this 90s Rover Mini, we've actually got a 1972 MG Midget Mark III. This is lot number 32 in our upcoming spring sale on the 28th of April. The vendors owned this car since December 2008, which is nearly 15 years this year actually. The car has never been fully restored, just well maintained over the years. The car's underside has been completely rust-proofed according to the vendor, leaving the structure of the car as good as sound, which, I think the condition on top really represents the condition of the car overall here. Key work done to the car over the last 14 years includes a rebuilt Midget 1275 needle roller gearbox, not the weaker Morris Minor 1000 gearbox, which is often substituted in these cars. It's got replacement OE clutch and thrust bearing, reconditioned carbs, halogen headlamps and alternator conversion, 123 electronic ignition system, replacement diff, which is the same ratio as the old one, from a lower mileage car as the original was getting noisy, replacement leaf springs and reconditioned front dampers, new seat foams, all fluids serviced in the last year, which include the axles, gearbox coolant, engine oil, brake and clutch, and chassis greasing. And then, as I mentioned before, it's fully wax oiled and re-undersealed professionally just a few years ago. I think this car is a great example of a well-maintained and looked after midget, and I think we estimate this one at £4,000 to £5,000, and again I think that is an absolute bargain for a car of this condition, something that you can sit on, or you can sell on, or whatever. It's a fantastic car to buy and really good for any sort of classic car enthusiast. Now this is another really original example of a classic car. It's the 1966 Triumph TR4A IRS, which stands for Independent Rear Suspension, and this is lot number 45 in the April Classic Car Auction. Now the vendor has owned this car for almost 10 years now, and it's described by the vendor as good, as in good, usable condition, reliable, comfortable, and in regular use as well. When I went to see this car, actually, funny enough, it was snowing, and he brought it out on a snowy day, and it started up on the button first time. It's been garaged throughout the vendor's ownership. Although there are slight blotches here and there, it shows really good original condition throughout. It comes with MOTs dating back to the early 1970s, this car, so good history with it, crib providence, and it's got, well, it had £3,000 worth of upgrades and renovation, which goes as follows. It's had a new mohair hood, which you'll see in the video, new carpet set, it's got red leather MX5 seats, however the originals are included in the sale. It's got stainless steel 4-branch manifold, electronic ignition, an electric fan, Spax front dampers, polybush front suspension, new sills, and a Powerlight starter motor. As I mentioned before, this is a very original and well-maintained example of a TR4A. We estimate it at £8,500 to £9,500. I think that's really, really healthy money for a car of this stature, and to be quite honest with you, I think it's very good value for money overall. So for the next car in this video, we've got this lovely 1957 Aston Healey 106, got number 61 in the auction. The vendor has owned this car for almost 30 years now, after he had the car imported from the United States in 1994. Underwent full restoration and conversion to right-hand drive in 1994 as well, upon importation for the use of the vendor. The car comes with a letter from R. Vincent at Hollygrove Farm, which now comes under Hollygrove Jaguar Specialists, after the restoration took place, stating the value was $17,000 all the way back in 1994. He gave it a concours score of 90 out of 100, which shows you the scale and detail that the restoration went into. The mileage on the letter reads 64,910, and today it reads 68,855, meaning it's completed just 4,000 miles since that restoration took place back in the 90s. The car's been installed in the vendor's workshop now for the last 15 years, where it's been maintained in a modest condition. It's been in a heated garage, it's been well looked after. It's got a few little dings and dents there, but it's still in really good condition for something that's been held up for such a long time. It does run, it does drive, it sounds beautiful. It's just had a new clutch as well to get it up and running and driving. May need some slight recommissioning, but nonetheless it's a very solid and sturdy car. This is a very modest example of a once loved and well restored Healey. We've estimated it at $25,500 to $27,500, and I think for that sort of money you've got a nice project that's going to be worth a bit more than that in the future. And here we are then for the last car of the video. We've got a 2007 Aston Martin DB9 Volante, which is lots number 65 in the auction. Volante actually means flying in Italian. It's a name adopted by Aston Martin for all of its convertible models since the DB6 was produced. It's a Guernsey car, this one. The vendor has owned the car since 2011. It's had just one previous owner in Guernsey. It's covered only 18,000 miles from new, which is backed up by its amazing service history with 9 stamps in the book. The power hood is fully functional, as you'll be able to see in the video right this second, and it's finished in the eye-catching and rare Pentland green. You don't see many of them in this colour, and I've got to say, it being here right now in front of me, it looks lovely. I'm not a big fan of green cars, but this is a stunning green paintwork. It's got the 6-litre V12 AM11 engine, which has 450 brake horsepower and an exhilarating 0 to 60 time of 4.7 seconds. That's enough to tear your face off. It's got one amazing soundtrack as well. Just have a listen to the exhaust sounds on this. I do really believe that it's the mileage that makes this car. It's excellent for any collector, any Aston Martin enthusiast, and someone who appreciates Aston Martins. To myself, this is a fantastic car, and I would own it if I could. It's a modern classic, but it's going to appreciate definitely, especially with that mileage on. It'd be brilliant to put away and look after. We've estimated it at £27,500 to £30,000. I think for that sort of money, with this mileage on it, that's an absolute steal. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching part number 1 of our April Classic Car Auction preview. The classic car auction does take place on the 28th of April, starting at 10 o'clock. There'll be more details to follow in the next parts of the auction previews. Thank you very much for watching again, and stay tuned for the next one.